Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 1. Sutta uvacha yovaedra unyastra veplushto namatur udare mrtah anugrahad bhagavata krishnasya bhuta karmana. Sutta said, certainly the one struck by the weapon of the son of Drona couldn't be burnt when he was in his mother's womb till he met his death because of the mercy of the personality of God, the all-attractive, the one who acts wonderfully. Brahma kopo tetad yastu takshakat prana viplavat nasambumbohorubayad bhagavate arpetasya. With the fury of someone of the priestly class that was caused by that of the snake bird and the dissolution of life that overwhelmed, and due to that great fearfulness, he surrendered under the personality of God with his consciousness. Text 3. Utsrajya sarvata sangam vijnata jeta samsathitih vayasaker jahau seshyo gangayam savam kalevaram. After leaving aside the association of all around him, because nothing has power without divine permission, he understood the one who isn't conquered in his actual position under the son of Vyasa, who gave up as a disciple on the bank of the Ganges, his son in his material body. And all around the world there were people who dedicated their children as little children to the priesthood. Text 4. No dhamma sloka vartanam jushatam tat katham ratam syat sambrahmo nata kale pe smaratam tat param bhujam. Never is who is sung of in the spiritual hymns of those who live on them, are engaged in his transcendental topics about him. If it happens that there's a misconception at the end, in the time also remembering his lotus feet. Okay, so the reason for all this is because they've lived with the singing of hymns, and they're engaged in discussing the transcendental topics. And despite some misconception that may happen, they remember the lotus feet. You know, that thing in the Bible where, left behind. It's not that God moons Moses, or, some people think that that's what the verse says. Text 5. Tavad kalirna prabhavet pravishto piha sarvata yavad iso mahan urvyam abhimanyava akarat. So long as the manifestation of tension can't flourish here or anywhere, is as long as the Supreme Controller thus shows his greatness and powerfulness through the son of Abhimanyu as the one world ruler. Text 6. Yasmin ahane yarheva bhagavan utsasarja gamtara evehanurato sav adharma prabhava kale. On that day, in that very moment, the Divine Personality left aside the earth, and certainly in this world at that time, there was the following of irreligion that accelerated, starting with personal manifestation. Of death, of killing, of tension, that sort of thing. And so when the prophets leave, people, tend to turn on their heels. It's totally their choice, but, something happens. Text 7. Nanu deveshte kalim samrat saranga eva sarabuk kusalane asu sedyante netarane katane yat. Never is there envy, of the personality of the tension by the emperor, because he was a realist like the bees, and like one who accepts the substance and the auspicious objects immediately. He becomes successful, and never are the inauspicious things being performed. So, auspicious things have a more profound effect. Inauspicious things sometimes are necessary. But as long as we do as we're supposed to do, there's never any reason to be jealous of the functionaries of this world. Text 8. Kim nu balashu surena kalena dira biruna abramata pramatashu yoverko nershu vartate. Whatever may be among the less intelligent persons, by the powerful personality of the attention and the self-control of the one who is afraid, and the one who's careful among the careless, and the one who is tiger-like among people in their existence. And I was meeting with somebody who had a lot of ability when it came to survival techniques. Allegedly, I didn't witness too much, but what I do know of the person is totally believable. And people say that if he's around, 20 other people can survive. And it's like, it's not my responsibility. And it really isn't if it's not outside of his family. But, people should do their own work. So it shouldn't be that you rely on one person to, But certainly, the better people can kind of cover in the overall position of society. Text 9. Upavarnitam etadva punyam parikshitam maya vasudeva katho petam akyanam yada prachata. Almost everything described by these unto you are about the piety of Parikshit, by me, about the vassal of the light beings, and the narrations connected with the statements of what you asked from me. So it's important to not just convey the scripture, but the context of it, which is the idea behind the whole Bhagavad Gita as it is that it's conveying of the tradition around the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad Gita in a more stripped down fashion. Of course, it's a rather big book for the number of verses that is, but Text 10. Yah katha bhagavata kathani yoru karmana gunakaramasraya pumbe samsevyastambubushube. Whatever. And whosoever that talks about the personality of God as has been spoken by me. He acts wonderfully in whatever mode and has uncommon deeds that involve persons. Who ought to be heard from, and who ought to hear all of them for their own sake. Text 11. Rashaya uchu sutta jiva samah samya sasvatir visadam yasah yastabam samsase krashnasya martyanam amratam hena. The good sages said to Sutta, we wish you live for many years, and have a grave that's eternal in the uniqueness of its fame. Because you speak nicely of the God of light. And Such is for those who die with eternity of life. And certainly, this is what we are towards. And text 12. Karmane asmin anasvase duma dumaratmanam bhavan apayayate govinda pada padmasavam madhu. The performance in this is without certainty because of smoke that has tinged the body and mind. Your good self is very much pleasing. And the personality of the feet and the nectar lotus flowers of honey. Oh, his feet are honey-like. Again, because people think of feet as the gross thing that you don't want pointed towards you and all that. But even the feet are better than what you expect from others, is the idea. Text 13. Tuleyamala venape na sabargam na punar bhavan bhagavat sange sangasya martyanam kim utasisha. To be balanced in a moment. It's something that's never as the heavenly planets, and neither the liberation from matter as the devotee who is associated as those who were meant for death, and what is there to speak of? Worldly benediction. So in your death, if you only have a single moment of unalloyed devotional service, that is going to count greater than what you think of the heavenly worlds and what you may think of liberation from material and all that other stuff. Text 14. Konama terpyed rasavit kathayam mahatam maekanta parayanasya nandam gunanam agunasya jagmur yogasvara yebhava padma mukhya. Who is he that especially gets satisfied as he expertly relishes in the topics of the greatest among beings, exclusively of one who is in the shelter of, there is never any end of that. That refers to the attributes of the transcendence that can't be ascertained by the Lord's mystic power. They all in the world, in the lotus, and the head. Oh, so just like the footstool is greater than the heavens and earth, and the throne's greater than that, and of course God is totally beyond that, we have the idea here, is that what people think of Brahma and Shiva, God actually transcends these concepts. Just like the Lahut or the absolute, to give different Semitic terms for that divine realm, but divine quality realm. You know what I'm saying? Text 15. Tanno bhavan vaye bhagavat pradhanno mahattamai kanta parayanasya harar udaram charitam visudam susrushatam no vitanno tu vidvan. Therefore, of us is certainly your good self in relation to the personality of God, chiefly as the greatest of greats, exclusively seeking shelter. So anything that comes as a means is thought of as a means, but we turn to God, not the things in between. And the potency is impartial to the activities and transcendental to those who are receptive. Otherwise, kindly describe, O learned one, about these things. Text 16. Savaye Mahabhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhe Chinanana Vayasake Samditena Baje Kagendra Dvaja Paramulam. He certainly is a first-class devotee of Parikshit, by which is the name of liberation, fixed in intelligence, by knowledge, O son of Vyasa, to be liberated and to be taken to the Garuda, the king, to fly the flag with the soles of the feet. Now, the Garuda is like the Brahma. It's the breath bird that is the vessel for the prophets. And sometimes prophets and mystics are taken on spiritual journeys, and people go way out of the way. It's like, oh, you believe in heaven birds. And we're talking about something beyond these, birds that we speak of. And no, we're not being super technological either. We're not talking about airplanes and all that. We're not saying it was an eagle and he rode on an actual eagle, or such and such rode on a winged horse. That's not what was being said. But there are Pegasus-like beings and stuff like this in the other realms.